Hi, all. Good to be back with you as usual. Today's message is directed mainly to the women who are out watching. It's relevant to everybody, but particularly you ladies. There was a gal in my office this morning. This was her second weigh-in after having not been here, taking a hiatus for 6 or 7 years. Last week, she lost 4 pounds. This week, she gained 5. And before she had finished saying, "I'm sorry," she went on and on and on and on, giving me all kinds of reasons and feeling guilty and sorry for having done what it is that she did, and, in her mind, disappointing me. I finally said, "Hold it, stop." And that was kind of like stopping something that was rolling, and it took, I would say, a good 40 seconds to get me to have her stop. And I said, "Whatever it is you're saying is totally irrelevant." She said, "But don't you understand?" And again started, and I said, "Stop. Please stop. What you did, you chose to do. Whether it was right, whether it was wrong, whether it was appropriate, whatever the reason was, you chose to do it. Now, if you chose to do it, it's okay. What's not okay is that you're not happy with the behavior that you chose, and instead of allowing yourself to learn from it, you're putting yourself down. You're foolish, you're stupid, it was childish. All irrelevant. You're an adult woman. You have the ability to make choices. You made a choice. And you've made this same choice many times. Answer me this question. What is it that you keep making the same choice and being unhappy with that choice? To speed it up a little bit, she basically said she was with family, they're big eaters, there's all kinds of stuff. She was tempted, but most importantly, she didn't want to disappoint anyone, because it was one of those potluck kinds of things where different members of the family brought stuff in and she was tasting and whatever else. And she said they're good cooks. And I said, "Did you enjoy yourself?" She said, "No." I said, "Because the food didn't measure up?" And she said, "No, it's because every time I took a bite of something or a taste of something, I felt annoyed, I felt guilty, I felt upset, but I didn't want anyone to be unhappy with me." How many people came up to you and asked you that this was their dish or this was their dish, and how did you like it? Was it better? Was it worse? She said, "No one. I was just eating." And were you talking with people? Well, a little bit, but mostly I was eating. Well, why were you eating? Well, the food looked so good and everybody was eating, so I was eating also. Okay. Why are we unhappy? Well, I gained 5 pounds. Are you surprised? No. Then you used a behavior that gained you 5 pounds and you were happy while you were doing it. Yes, but no buts. Question: what are you going to do about it now? You've gained 5 pounds. She said, well, that's why I'm coming to you. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to stop the interaction. When we do not look at ourselves as being the most important person in the room, then we're vulnerable. In this room right now, for me, I'm the most important person in this room. And you, for you, should be the most important person in the room. I didn't say that you're unimportant, and I didn't say you're unimportant to me. What I said is, you should be coming for that place within yourself that says, I'm happy to be me, I'm happy to be at this family gathering, and I want to enjoy myself. What's the most important thing? Well, you know I've been unhappy because I've put on these 17 pounds in these 6-7 years. I said, okay. So all we're talking about then is 17 pounds, right? Yes. And it took you 6 or 7 years to put them on. And I'll be generous. It's going to take you 5 weeks, not a month, to take it off. Well, why 5 weeks? Because you've already told me by your actions and by your words that you're not going to stick to the program. Well, if you're not going to stick to the program, how can you have what you want? But you don't understand. And this is what I get all the time. So I want to stop and focus you. The truth is, and listen to some of the things that I heard, there was all kinds of food there. People made the food and other people ate the food. No one went over to her and asked her any questions at all, because they were involved with themselves. And unless there was some obvious kind of problem, nobody was going to ask her. And she chose to eat the food because she didn't want anyone else to be unhappy or to be disappointed. But if you boil it down, people, she didn't care about herself enough to say, what about me being disappointed? What about me being unhappy? What about me feeling guilty? Why do I bring this to you? Women are nurturers. It cries, woman comforts. It cries, woman comforts. Woman cries, she uses food for comfort. It's built into your DNA. So we've got two choices. Accept the inevitability of your being a nurturer and giving into it, or making yourself the most important person in the room for yourself without holding it over anyone else, and acting in a manner which says, I like the way I behave, it felt good. What are we talking about? I'm talking about the overall indulgence without a plan. She didn't have to eat as much as she ate. She didn't have to eat anything at all. She didn't have to prove anything to anyone. And no one noticed, so there would have been no disappointment. So what are we saying? This is where a very simple behavior comes in. Thank you for asking me to eat. I have 2 Tic Tacs in my hand right now, and I'm going to put the 2 Tic Tacs in my mouth. I'm going to chew on one and get the minty flavor, and I'm going to suck on the other. And I'm going to say, thank you for inviting me. I'm having a great time interacting with all of you, and it makes me feel so good for all of us to be together. And when I go home, I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to say, you know something, Charles? I'm proud of you. You didn't want to gain weight because you have that engagement that you're involved with, and you didn't argue and fight with anyone. You said thank you, you interacted, and you achieved your goal. I make it sound so simple. You know, it is very simple. All you have to do is work your abs. Thanks for listening.